I want to talk about the relationship between your thoughts and your emotions. Let me preface this video by saying this. It's not the thoughts you think, it's the emotions you are feeling about the thoughts you are thinking. Going further, it's the emotions you attach to the thoughts you are thinking. Because when the thoughts comes into your mind, right, there's a certain emotion you may attach to it, and this now begins the experience of the story you tell yourself about the thoughts you are thinking. You see, the thoughts we think create a story in the world that is our internal universe, our mind. And the stories you tell yourself, the stories we tell ourselves, becomes our lived out experiences in reality. Because when you tell yourself a certain story about the thoughts you are thinking, you begin to operate from that perspective, from that dimension of thoughts. But here's the thing, here's the shift. What if when a thought comes into your mind, instead of actually reacting by attaching a feeling to that thought, what if you simply observe the thought? A thought comes to your mind that may or may not be true. What if you just watch as if you're watching a film, like you're watching a movie, like you are the observer of a film, a movie which has a story. You're observing the thoughts, and this keeps you in a state of neutrality. You become neutral, right? You don't actually attach to the thoughts because you're simply watching the thoughts, you're observing the thoughts. But what happens most often is that you begin having a conversation in your mind about that thought, and that's where the story begins. And this is what can mess people up or not mess you up depending on how you approach this thought you're having. But the thing I want you to take away from this is this: when you don't attach an emotion to your thoughts, it doesn't actually have an effect, because you give your thoughts power based on the emotion you attach to the thoughts you are thinking, which then creates a story in your mind. So if you want to master the art of remaining neutral, when a thought comes in your mind that isn't necessarily true, instead of reacting, right, and just feeling a certain emotion, whatever emotion may be, frustration, anger, right, whatever emotion may be, apathy, whatever emotion you want to feel in regards to that thought, what if you observe the thoughts and realize this is the thoughts? It may or may not be true, but me attaching emotion to that thought is going to give it power. Because you know how you give your thoughts power? It's based on what you emphasize in your mind, what you actually focus on, what you are reiterating in your mind based on the thoughts you are thinking. Let's say a certain thought comes in your mind and you begin emphasizing that by placing strong focus on that thought, and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into that thought. You begin creating a story. Yes, you want to think deep, you don't want to be shallow. Don't be a shallow person. Think for yourself, have some deep conversations, because that's going to enhance and help you grow. It's going to give you self-awareness. It's going to actually make you evolve as a being, as a person. But when you are doing this deep dive into your thoughts, in what direction is it going? Is it going in a direction that isn't actually helping you evolve? Is it going in a direction of just emotions, reactivity? Or is it actually a state of actually, right, wisdom? Actually observing, learning lessons. That's the thing. When you turn the conversation into your mind of a way in which you can actually learn lessons and gain wisdom from your own thoughts, that's the shift. And you know how that happens. It's based on you not reacting and responding. Instead, you observe. You observe what's actually happening here. Is this true or is this not true? You want to have clarity. And how do you know if things are true? Right? It's a deep knowing. Also, it's based on facts, reality. Observe, right? Think deeper. Is this true? Is this not true? If it is true, okay, what's the meaning here? What's the lesson here? What's the purpose here? Sometimes it's deep, sometimes it's not that deep. But what's the purpose here? What's the meaning here? What's the value here? And if it isn't true, you simply just say, okay, this isn't true, and you just let it be. You don't keep attaching emotions to the thoughts. You simply just keep observing it and just let it be by shifting your focus elsewhere. But fundamentally, in regards to mental health and emotional health, mental well-being, emotional well-being, if you want to achieve well-being mentally and emotionally, you have to realize it's never the thoughts you are thinking. It's the emotion you attach to what you are thinking, and the story you tell yourself about what you are thinking. It's an emotion, it's a story. If you learn to actually remain neutral and don't just react and get emotional and begin creating a story, if you in this life, right, you want to become lighthearted. Yes, things can be deep, definitely. I mean, I know that I'm a deep person, but you have to know how to not get sucked in to the world that is your mind. Yes, you want to think deep, you want to have intelligence, right? You want to have clarity, you want to operate in a mental state of clarity. You don't want to be confused, you don't want to have just a decline in your mental health. And you achieve this by actually realizing that thoughts are thoughts. Thoughts are going to go, thoughts are going to come. Emotions are going to go, emotions are going to come. But what emotion are you attaching to the thoughts you think? When you can remove emotions behind the thoughts you're thinking and just watch your thoughts like you're watching a film, listen to your thoughts like you're listening to music, right? What's what to say? What's the purpose? If it doesn't have any value or meaning, you simply just brush it aside. And how do you brush it aside? Again, you observe it. And you don't take it seriously if it's not that serious. You simply let it be. And if you want to go deeper, you don't want to attach emotions to thoughts. You want to be in a place of neutrality. Again, find the value here. What's the value? What's the meaning? What can I learn from this? What's the purpose here? What value? What purpose is this thought serving in my mind right now at this moment? That's the question. What purpose is this thought serving right now for me in my mind or just in life in this moment? What is the purpose? What is the meaning? What's the value? All whilst you're being an observer. You're actually observing your thoughts. If you want to be instead of warping, if you want to actually improve your mental health, don't attach emotions to the thoughts you are thinking. Don't just start feeling things and reacting things when a thought comes into your mind. When a thought comes into your mind, be still. Observe it. Find the value, find the meaning, find the lesson, find the purpose, right? Without actually attaching emotion. And if emotions want to come up, observe the emotion. Don't engage in the emotion, observe the emotion. Okay, same question. What is the purpose of this emotion? What is actually happening here? Like you're watching a film. What is actually happening here? What's actually happening with this emotion? What is the value? What is the meaning? What are you trying to do here? That's a question, right? And when you can actually retract the value from these experiences, you won't just react emotionally, because what are you doing? You're actually operating from a place of wisdom and curiosity. You're being curious. You're actually curious. You want to know what is the purpose of what you aren't actually reacting. You're neutral whilst still being curious, whilst still getting the wisdom from the experiences. Don't attach emotions, and if emotions come up, don't respond to the emotions. Just observe what the emotion is actually trying to do here and gain the lessons. You have to know how to take care of the world within your mind and take care of your emotions. Emotions are going to come and go, but you don't have to engage in the emotions. If an emotion is trying to come up, yes, you want to feel your feelings, right? You want to let things be cathartic. You want to release. You don't want to hold on to things. If you want to release, but there is a difference between releasing things and reacting to an emotion. Release leads to healing. Release helps you to process things. But when you're reacting and just going around in circles, telling yourself stories, right? Just reiterating scenarios in your mind, that's not a path of healing. That's not a path of growth. That's not a path of evolution. That's not a path of learning lessons. That's a path in which you get trapped in a way in which you are actually being just focusing on emotions and going about in regards to in which you're telling yourself a story in your mind, and you become a character in the story and not the main character, not the one in charge. For lack of a better word, you don't become the emperor, or let's say empress of this, or just again neutrality. I don't care about gender. That's not my thing here. I focus on actually energy. But what I mean is this: a person who takes, that's the word, a leader, right? You want to lead your mind, and when you don't want to become a character being pushed around by just going wherever emotions come up, right? Emotion comes here, you go there. Emotion comes here, you go there. What's that actually doing? You don't want to become a character wandering around in a story in your mind. You want to become seated in your throne. Be firm and observe. If an emotion is coming up, yes, I see the emotion. What is the point of this emotion? What is the purpose? What is the value? What is the story trying to tell me? What is the lesson here? What actually happened here? what is the roots of this? And when you get to the roots, when you get the lesson out, when you extract the lesson out, you apply that in your life, and that helps you grow, that helps you evolve your mental health, your emotional health, because you aren't wandering, you aren't getting lost, you aren't reacting, you're actually observing and taking the value out of the experience, right? You want to feel your feelings from a place of observation. Feel your feelings release by being an observer, but not reacting, right? You don't want to be reacting. You can feel feelings without reacting, right? You can experience things without reacting. Let's say you're crying, for example, right? Yes, you're crying. There's a difference between crying, but then crying and yelling, right? And saying things that may or may not be true, right? It's different, right? When you actually just releasing things, it's different. You can talk if you want to talk, but if you're just releasing things, it's different. Then when you're releasing things, then you're actually going about in circles, thinking back and forth, right? Just creating stories in your mind. It's different. One is healing, one is creating a lack of clarity. One is actually making you less in the state of in which you can actually just release and heal and learn. One's actually digging you deeper into a hole. There's a difference to what I'm saying here. When a thought comes in your mind, become better at observing the thoughts and just realizing, like, what is the purpose of this thought? What are you like a guest in your home? What are you doing here? What are you trying to tell me? What is the value? What is the meaning here? Don't just start reacting or responding or attach. Don't attach yourself to the thought by attaching an emotion, because it's really the emotion you attach to the thoughts you're thinking that takes you for a ride. But the question is where is the ride taking you to? Is it taking you towards wisdom or towards a path in which you actually get more lost and just become a wanderer? Right? You want to observe, you want to learn, you want to learn lessons and extract a purpose and value from the experiences, but you don't want to attach an emotion to what's actually happening. Let the emotions come and go, but you don't want to attach yourself or attach, and don't even here's the thing, this is the tricky thing. I wouldn't even give the emotion, right, a center throne in the conversation. Yes, you can give the emotion a name, but you don't want to make that emotion the centerpiece. What should be the centerpiece? What should be the center throne? It is what is the purpose of this emotion? What is the root cause of this emotion? What is this emotion doing here? Is this emotion actually valuable here, or is it not? Is it actually helping me, or is it not helping me? What's the purpose of this emotion? That should be the focus. What is the purpose here? But don't just attach an emotion to thoughts, because emotions you attach to thoughts makes you more attached to the story about the thoughts. The stories in your mind become the experience you live. It becomes how you operate in reality. When you can learn to not attach emotions by simply observing and being curious and learning from the experiences you're having in regards to the conversations in your mind, that will help you actually take better care of your mental health, because you aren't being dragged left, right, center, north, east, west. You aren't being dragged about based on emotions, just leading the way. What's actually leading you? You are leading yourself based on curiosity, based on wisdom, based on asking questions, based on being an observer of your thoughts in your mind, without actually digging yourself into a hole. Instead, you're diving deep, or you're just observing. You can even simply observe thoughts without actually just even getting into it. There are things you want to get into for the purpose of evolving and growing as a person, as a being, but there are things you actually just want to let pass. And you know how you let it pass? Again, you observe. What are you doing here? Are you trying to help me, or are you trying to just confuse me? You will know the difference. If thoughts are going to confuse you and just make you neglect your mental health, you can let that go by observing. Be curious. Have a playful approach to things. Even things that are very serious, right? Yes, things are serious. But when I say playful, I mean this. You don't want to become so caught up in your thoughts that you make that a focal point. And the point of this, like, you don't want to have tunnel vision in your thoughts. You want to leave room for some space, right? You don't want to take things so seriously that you forget that there's so much more to life. There is so much more to life. Don't get caught up in thoughts. Become better at being an observer of your thoughts and learning from things, or just letting things pass by and shifting your focus elsewhere. Applying your curiosity elsewhere. That's the thing. You can apply your curiosity elsewhere. You can be curious in a different direction. If a thought comes that you don't actually just get into because it's not really important, apply your curiosity elsewhere to what is actually important, what is actually meaningful, what is actually valuable. But don't get caught up in emotions by just reacting based on thoughts. Once a thought comes, you react. That's not how it should go. A thought is coming. Let me observe these thoughts. Let me see what's actually happening here. What's the thought doing here? What's the purpose, or what's the meaning, or what's the value here? If that doesn't apply, then you simply just let that pass and shift your curiosity elsewhere. If it comes up again, shift your curiosity elsewhere. If it comes up again, and you want to address it, okay, what is the purpose here? What does it mean? What is the value? What's the story behind these thoughts? What is the roots? Don't just give a story based on an emotion you're attached to the thoughts, and therefore you start reacting from a place of emotion and not from a place of wisdom. Emotions are beautiful, but you want to be in charge of the emotions you're feeling. And how do you control your emotions? Realize that life is happening, but you want to be the leader of the life you're living. You want to lead yourself. You want to observe yourself. Become a better observer. Like I said, you see things like a film, like a movie. Right? You're watching this. This comes up. Okay, what am I seeing here? What's really going on here? What's actually happening here? Have some clarity. Don't just start reacting, because that's only going to be a place of you attaching emotions to things and just doing things without actually reflecting. Become better at reflecting and watching and observing before actually just attaching emotions. And if you want to actually give if you want to give it a name, or give something, if you want to give a thought an emotion, simply from a place of wisdom and observation. This emotion is actually applicable to these thoughts. What is the purpose of this emotion? What is the value of this emotion? What is this emotion trying to teach me? What is this emotion actually doing here? What is the roots? Right, where are we going? What's this ride we're going on right now? What's actually happening here? But you aren't attached to the emotion, and you aren't attaching an emotion to the story. What's in charge of the story right now is what's the purpose of this thought? What's the purpose of this emotion? What's the purpose of this story? Don't just attach emotions off the bat of thoughts you're thinking. Right? Become better at just watching, observing, and finding the lessons, the value, the meaning in the thoughts you think. And the thoughts you think aren't important, again, just be curious, okay? We're being curious. Even just be playful about it. What's really happening here? Is it really that deep? And if it's that deep, then what's the value behind this deep thing? What's the meaning? What's the purpose here? What are you trying to teach me? But don't become a person who attaches emotions to the thoughts you think so instantly. Like I said before, what can mess people up? It's not the thoughts that's coming, it's the emotions you're attaching to the thoughts that's coming. It's the emotion you are actually thinking about the thoughts you are having. Here's the thing, you feel emotions, but when you're thinking about emotions in regards to the thoughts, then it becomes mental. That's the correlation between your mental health and your emotional health. You're thinking about the emotion you're feeling, and that emotion is in your mind. Even though you feel things from your emotional body, when you're thinking about the emotion you're feeling, that now gets wrapped up in your mind. And that's how emotions can get sucked into your mind and cloud your judgment and cloud your clarity, because you're thinking of the emotion, you're thinking about the thoughts you're having. So if you want to improve your mental health, improve the space in your mind in regards to the correlation between your mind and the emotions you're having, don't just attach emotions to thoughts. Let things ride out, let things play out. Right? What's actually happening here? What are you doing here? Just watch it, observe it, ask questions, be curious without attaching emotions to thoughts. And if emotions come up, don't get attached to emotions. Just simply, what is the purpose of this emotion? What are you trying to tell me here with this emotion? What are you trying to show me with this emotion? That's more healing, that's more evolving, that's more growing, that's more clarity, that's more wisdom, that's more observation, without getting caught up and just carried away You want to improve your mental health and your emotional well-being by realizing the correlation and the relationship between your thoughts and your emotions. Because thoughts and emotions govern a big part of our human experience. So you want to be the one actually controlling your emotions. I know it's easier said than done, I know that for a fact, but here's the thing. You don't want to attach it to an emotion. Let's say you have an experience just a few minutes ago, a day ago, the experience has happened. But now you have a story in your mind about the experience and you attach an emotion to the experience. What's happening here? You're getting wrapped up in emotions. You're getting wrapped up in a story. But what if you observe the experience? Okay, that happened. That happened, right? What did I learn from the experience? Right? What was the experience trying to show me or teach me? What was the purpose? What was the value of that experience? What was actually the reason for the experience? That's different, you see. It's different than getting caught up in stories and emotions. When you're finding the root cause to just the value, the meaning, the purpose, you can let things go. Because what have you done now? You've learned the lesson and now you can move on. You aren't caught up in emotions, stories, right? You aren't caught up, you aren't just getting wrapped up in things. You're learning, you're observing, you're watching, you're curious, and now you can let things go. You become a better person. You achieve more well-being. You achieve better health because you're being the person who actually observes, reflects, is curious, is watching without getting caught up in emotions and stories that you tell yourself about the experiences you're having. And that's how you can actually take better care of your thoughts and your emotions. Thanks for watching.